All right, so judging by my inbox this week, a lot of people want me to say exactly the opposite of what I'm about to say. So I just want to ask you up front to bear with me for a couple of paragraphs here, okay? Religion does not cause homophobia. The truth is we don't really need a cause here. Human beings are just naturally inclined to dislike and distrust those we perceive as being different than ourselves. You know, people don't like to hear this, but nobody needs to teach us to be racist. We're just born racists. And as unpopular as that is to say, I don't believe there's any controversy at all among social psychologists on this one. I'm reminded of a study a couple years back. Some statisticians looked at NBA referees and discovered that black refs foul white players at a higher rate and white refs foul black players at a higher rate. And the sports media world went ballistic over this. You know, the NBA's issuing press releases left and right. All the talking heads are chiming in. The Players Association's freaking the fuck out. And meanwhile, all the social psychologists are off in the corner saying, no, guys, it's because they're humans. This is exactly what we would have expected. We could have told you this was going to happen if you asked. And I know that racism and homophobia are two different things, and for non-trivial reasons in this discussion, but they come from the same natural urge to otherize, and that is innate in human beings. Right? We don't have to learn our way into this. We have to learn our way out of it. And we have to do so over and over again throughout our lives. I mean, if I could go back in a time machine and meet my 16-year-old self, the first thing I'd want to do is smack the homophobia out of him, and my 16-year-old self wasn't religious. Now, with all that out of the way, I want to emphasize that none of it, nothing that I just said exculpates religion's role in what happened in Orlando on Saturday night. Not in the slightest. 50 people died of religion last weekend, and no innate human urge is going to excuse that, because bigotry is natural. Shooting human beings to death by the dozen is not. For that, you need reinforcement. You need justification. You need moral exoneration. You need a plausible way to believe that you, the person holding the gun against unarmed human beings and mowing them down by the dozen, are the good guy in the story. And where do homophobes go for that? I mean, sure, there are other hate groups. There are non-religious groups that'd be happy to pat you on the back for hating fags with a passion, but they're universally pushed to the margins of society. You know, they're not the kind of groups that you announce that you're a member of on Facebook, generally speaking. They're the kind of groups that betray you as a loathsome bigot who shouldn't be taken seriously and should probably be on a watch list or two. And then there's church. And then there's a government-subsidized hate group that's sitting on every third street corner in this country, and instead of being ostracized for membership, you're socially rewarded for belonging to this one. And in between all the mythology and the bad music, you're told that your dislike of gay people, that's not a character flaw. That's a divine obligation. You know, what's more, there are so damn many of you, even the politicians are catering to you, passing laws that say, well, you don't have to cook food for them or let them in your ambulance because Jesus. A whole goddamn religious culture around you, patting you on the back and telling you it's okay to hate fags, because God does it too. And when we see the inevitable outcome of this kind of mass dehumanization like we did last weekend, all the religious hate mongers are trying to run to base and declare themselves safe because they're touching the swing set. You know, Christians are pointing to Muslims and saying, well, that's what you get when you worship the evil brown man's God, and carefully trying not to speculate on the religion of that person who planted that bomb in a Target bathroom last week, or the guy with a car full of guns that they picked up on his way to the LA Pride Parade. And then all these mainstream religious spokespeople think that they can wash their hands of all this blood by condemning the violence without condemning the hatred that breeds it. You know, they've had a perfectly good platform to denounce hatred for a long fucking time, and instead they were using it to endorse dehumanizing RFRA provisions and bathroom bills and shit. They could have been emphasizing the love your neighbor stuff, but instead they needed to just, air out Pandora's box a little bit, tell everybody that God doesn't much care for the gays. I mean, show me the time it didn't go this way. Show me the time a subset of any population was institutionally dehumanized and then it did not lead to violence. So sure, let's blame the televangelists saying the LGBT agenda is to imprison all the Christians and take away their Jesus, but let's not forget to blame the congressman who accepts gay marriage but thinks it's a little much to ask Christian photographers to take pictures of them. And let's not forget to blame my Aunt Kathy, who has to open up her Facebook post about Orlando by saying, don't get me wrong, I know Jesus doesn't like the gays and stuff. And let's not forget to blame the progressive person who has no issues with gays whatsoever, but still gives money to the Southern Baptist Convention or the Roman Catholic Church or the Mormon Church or any institution that hold up a book that says you should murder gay people and call it the Word of God. And you know what? I'm not saying any of this, by the way, to let Islam off the hook. Sure, Christians are still leading the field in terms of mass shootings in this country, but I don't think anybody's arguing that the Sandy Hook guy did what he did as a statement against the kindergarten lifestyle. I'm reading their fucking book, and it repeatedly calls for violence. It repeatedly justifies murder. It repeatedly equates killing with religious obligations, and you have to be intentionally blinding yourself not to see that the violent interpretation is higher among Muslims than any other major religion in the world, and not by a small margin. But you know what? This week there is plenty of blame to go around. So while we're busy doling out our righteous condemnation this week, let's not forget to save a little for ourselves. Because like I said at the top here, look, bigotry is innate. It's something we have to learn our way out of. So how are we learning? And who are we teaching? And what are we doing to counterbalance the poisonous narrative that our religious neighbors are promoting? And no matter how dedicated we are to these causes, we still have to ask these questions and we still have to find fucking answers, because whatever we're doing, clearly it's not enough.